No one wanted to sit near the alien girl, due to her scent, but the human found it nostalgic. The cafeteria aboard the Celestial Unity buzzed with the usual cacophony of interspecies chatter. Translator implants hummed softly as conversations flowed between the dozens of alien species that comprise the Galactic Federation's premier diplomatic vessel. Yet despite the atmosphere of supposed unity, Marcus Chen noticed the obvious gap in seating arrangements. At a table near the viewport, a lone figure sat hunched over her meal tray. She was Zeltharian. Marcus could tell from the distinctive blue-gray skin and the delicate antennae that twitched nervously atop her head. Her large, compound eyes reflected the starlight streaming through the reinforced glass, creating prismatic patterns that might have been beautiful if anyone had bothered to look, but no one did. The surrounding tables maintained a careful distance, their occupants shooting occasional glances her way before quickly averting their gazes. Marcus had observed this pattern for 3 days now, ever since the diplomatic convoy had departed from Kepler Station. As he approached with his own meal tray, the reason became apparent. The scent hit him like a wave, earthy, rich, with undertones of something organic and alive. Most species aboard the ship had evolved past such strong olfactory signatures, their homeworlds having been sanitized and climate-controlled for millennia. To them, the Zeltharian girl's natural musk was overwhelming, primitive, even offensive. Marcus paused, his nostrils flaring slightly as he processed the aroma. Something stirred in his memory, a flash of childhood summers, dirt under his fingernails, and the satisfaction of honest work under an unforgiving sun. "Mind if I sit here?" he asked, setting his tray down across from her before waiting for an answer. The girl's antennae shot upright in surprise, her compound eyes widening. You want to sit with me?" Her voice carried the melodic quality, typical of her species, though it trembled with disbelief. "I'm Marcus," he said, settling into his chair. "And you smell like my grandmother's garden after it rained." The comment seemed to perplex her. "Is that good?" Marcus smiled, taking a bite of his synthesized protein. "Very good. I'm guessing you're from one of the agricultural worlds?" "Zelthar Prime," she confirmed, her posture relaxing slightly. "I'm Kira. I'm here as part of the youth exchange program." Her antennae drooped, though I'm beginning to think it was a mistake. "Why's that?" Kira gestured around the cafeteria with one of her 4 arms. "Look at them. They act like I'm diseased. During yesterday's cultural exchange session, the Vorthon delegate actually suggested I use scent suppressors. Can you imagine asking someone to chemically alter their natural biology just to make others comfortable?" Marcus nodded thoughtfully. Humans had faced similar discrimination when they'd first joined the Galactic Federation 50 years ago. Too emotional, the other species had said. Too unpredictable. Too biological. It had taken decades for humanity to prove that their so-called primitive traits were actually strengths. "Tell me about Zelthar Prime," Marcus said, genuinely curious. Kira's eyes brightened, and for the first time since he'd observed her, she seemed to come alive. "It's beautiful. We live in harmony with the soil, you know. My family manages one of the great fungal forests. We cultivate symbiotic relationships with thousands of different organisms. The scent you're detecting, it's not just me. It's an entire ecosystem." As she spoke, Marcus closed his eyes and inhaled deeply. Yes, there it was. Not just earth and growing things, but the complex symphony of decomposition and renewal, of life feeding on death, feeding on life. It was the smell of a world that breathed, that lived and died and lived again in endless cycles. "On Earth," Marcus said slowly, "we have a saying, 'April showers bring May flowers.' It means that the rain, the destruction and chaos, creates the conditions for new growth." Kira's antennae perked up with interest. Your species understands the cycles? We do more than understand them, Marcus replied. We were born from them. Humans evolved in the dirt, Kira. We crawled out of caves and learned to farm with our bare hands. We know what it means to smell like the earth because we are the earth, in a way. Around them, the cafeteria continued its polite, sanitized conversations. But at their table, something different was happening. As Marcus spoke about humanity's agricultural heritage, about crop rotation and composting and the delicate balance of soil microbiomes, Kira's entire demeanor transformed. Her forearms gestured enthusiastically as she shared stories of mycorrhizal networks that spanned continents and fungal communication systems that predated galactic civilization by millions of years. You know what the real tragedy is? Marcus said, leaning forward conspiratorially. These advanced species have forgotten that everything they are, everything they've built, comes from worlds like yours and mine. Their technology, their cities, their sterile environments, they're all built on the foundation of biology, of dirt and decay and the messy, smelly business of actual life. A crystalline delegate at a nearby table turned to stare at them, its translucent features contorted in what Marcus assumed was disapproval. He waved cheerfully at the creature, which quickly turned away. They think we're primitive, Kira said, following his gaze. Let them, Marcus replied. When their perfect systems break down, when their technology fails, when their sterilized worlds can't adapt to change, that's when they'll remember why evolution gave us strong sense and dirty hands and the ability to thrive in chaos. Kira was quiet for a moment, processing his words. Then she smiled, a surprisingly human expression that transformed her alien features. Would you like to visit the hydroponics bay tomorrow? I've been working on a project there trying to introduce some soil-based growing techniques. Everyone thinks I'm crazy, but I'd love to, Marcus interrupted. And Kira, don't ever let anyone convince you to suppress who you are. The galaxy needs more dirt under its fingernails. As they finished their meal, other beings continued to give their table a wide berth. But Marcus noticed something new, a few curious glances, a young Aquarian who seemed to be listening to their conversation, and even a Vorthon who had stopped mid-stride to observe them with what might have been interest. Change, Marcus reflected, often started with the simple act of sitting down at the right table. The stars wheeled slowly past the viewport as two representatives of primitive worlds shared stories of soil and growth, of ancient wisdom dressed up as foolish tradition. In the sanitized corridors of galactic civilization, they carried the scent of home, earthy, real, and absolutely essential.